Hello, welcome.
Okay. I love it.
I'm sitting here with my sister, Layla. She is an inspirational speaker and a thought leader, and she is a powerhouse. We just got done teaching at Bali Spirit Fest together, and yeah, she's something else, just quite moving. And we've had some really amazing discussions just sitting on the couch or sitting at a restaurant, and I love to bring you all in on some of it. It's juicy stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for that introduction.
Well, first I just want to share with my friends what it is that you do.
Cool. So, if I would put it very, very simple, what I do with my life and my work is to remind humans of their magnificence. And I like to use the word magnificence because we can use higher potential, we can use power, but we are magnificent, we are amazing. When we wake up to the possibilities of what we can do in this lifetime with what we already have, we could be living heaven on earth. And the way I do that is I take an eagle's view in a human experience, and I help people organize and activate the 4 levels of their human experience. Right here, right now, we all have awareness of our minds, sometimes too much, of our bodies, of our emotions, and of our connection with spirit in one shape or the other, under a religion or under a spiritual path. We all have awareness of a connection with something greater.
So body, mind, spirit. What was the other one?
Body, mind, emotion. Very important and often left out. And spirit. So often what I find in this personal development work is we either focusing on our body and doing our yoga and our diet and our breath work, or we focus on our mind and we're doing masterminds and we're doing mindset work, or we focus in our emotions. Often we focus in our emotions when it's so bad that we need medication, and then we go to the system that we don't need to go into that rabbit hole. Or we completely lose it all and just like have a spiritual crisis and end up just like Elizabeth Gilbert falling into our knees at the toilet and praying to God because nothing else is working. What will happen if we will take control? And I know control is a horrible word, but what will happen if we take responsibility over everything we have? I love using the metaphor of the Ferrari. So we are Ferraris, all of us, perfectly designed. I mean, the things that happen constantly in our bodies, in our emotions, for us to work. It's miracle. Miracle. That word. However, we have these beautiful Ferraris, and instead of putting gas for the Ferrari to work, instead of bumping the wheels of the Ferrari with air so that it has traction, we are wrongly utilizing our potential constantly. So we're putting coconut water in the engine, we have the tires flat, we have the windshield dirty, and then we sit down inside of the Ferrari wondering why life isn't working. Well, you're not using the Ferrari properly, but you got the Ferrari. No matter what your life situation is, you have everything it takes to take you from where you are to where you want to be. And the world is full of examples of amazing people that had it all against them and have built themselves and their realities in a way that is impacting the world. And I think your stories is a clear example of that. There was a point in your life where your Ferrari was pretty fucked.
My Ferrari, it didn't have any rims, it didn't have any wheels, it was burnt out.
It was,
Yeah, it was dangling off the side of a cliff.
But you had all the pieces.
Yeah.
They were just messed up. And my Ferrari was pretty bad too, let me tell you. When I hit my middle 20s, that shit did not look like a Ferrari. It looked like a falling apart, truck from somewhere.
We can't think of any other car names.
Is
that what happened?
Well, they have Ferraris or Lamborghinis. They're like, but no, mine was an old Volkswagen, cranking,
Yeah.
But I knew that I didn't really know. I actually was in this place where desperation, and I think that it's valuable for us to realize that often we need to really get to the edge of the cliff before we jump. So I got to that place where it was I figure it out or I'll kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was now, like, and it was one day, one night, I would forever remember, one conversation with my mother, one simple decision that started this process. But when I got to my mom's house at 11 p.m. that Saturday, that was it. I was ready to figure it out a way to finish this.
And it's so interesting. You always hear that cliche or the metaphor of, you have to hit the wall. You have to, reach that edge. And I hear it again and again. And I don't think that it's mandatory. But I feel like some of us, before we reach it, we're so, okay. As humans, one of our things that's really good for us and really bad is that we're so adaptable. So it's really good. We can live almost in any environment, in any weather, all these different things, because we are adaptable. And that has been the success of our species. But something that's not good about it, on the flip side of that, is that we adapt to emotional pain. We adapt to physical pain. I mean, how many times, like, I had a shoulder that was, like, jacked for years before I, like, finally got taken care of, because we get used to it. We adapt.
We normalize things.
We normalize and minimize. So, yeah, I do think that sometimes when we reach that, you finally come to that edge of, like, I cannot adapt to this anymore. Like, this box is way too small. Or, in my case, I was shackled through my addiction. I'm like, I absolutely cannot. And it's making that decision for me that I think it's so vital. And the edge is almost sometimes mandatory to make the decision.
Inspiration can't substitute that pain. Mm-hmm. We can make a conscious choice to utilize inspiration as the tipping point instead of the pain. Mm-hmm. And I often see that we are programmed to compare ourselves with the world. It's actually not something that we're doing wrong. Don't compare yourself. No, your brain works in mirror neuron system, so you're constantly comparing. Mm-hmm. And if we can flip that comparing from I'm going to punish myself because I don't have it to, oh my God, I want what she has, or I want to live my life how he lives his life, then we can avoid to burn out.
It's something I was just talking about with a friend, because we were talking like, do we have to only learn through struggle? Because I'm like, I don't want to suffer anymore. Like, I can learn through joy. Like, I want to learn through good things. Or, so this is beautiful to be able to learn through inspiration.
And,
beautiful.
And when we see, so we're friends and we live in a pretty fucking awesome community with pretty amazing individuals that have dedicated a long time, most of them, to do a lot of work. And guess what? They still go through struggle. And we meet and we talk. And one thing I keep on seeing that is super inspirational is now when we come to the circle with our shit, it's like, hey, look at this. I got an opportunity to figure it out. Give me feedback. Let's talk about it. Let's go into it. Hold me while I cry. We have shifted the dialogue. Yeah. It's not anymore a victimization, but an opportunity for mastery. We have shifted how we see the weights of life. Instead of something to fight against or to feel suppressed by, we literally using those weights like the weights in the gym. All right, cool, I got 5,000 kilos of shit. I'm going to make a huge muscle with them.
Right. Indeed. Yeah. And I share Pema Chodron a lot. I know her. Okay. Awesome. She's an American Buddhist teacher. If you all haven't checked her out yet, I talk about her all the time.
Yeah, she goes deep.
She's amazing. Yeah. She's amazing. But one thing that she does, so people will come and they'll be like, this happened and this happened and this happened. And it's all like super heart-wrenching, challenging, really challenging stuff. And like Pema she just can't break. And she'll just kind of smile, her this really compassionate smile, and she'll say, it sounds like a wonderful place to practice. And at one time you're just like, damn it, Pema. But really it's like, yeah, it is. Like, this is an opportunity. And it's hard to see it like that at first, but when we can continue to reframe and to remember, like, oh, I get a chance to not do this again. Yeah. I get a chance to learn from this and move it in a different way.
Yeah. When I was structuring my business a few months ago, we've talked about this today, like, how do we frame this message so that it reach all of you out there and inspire all of you? One of the things I realized is there is a very simple thing that we can do, which is shifting from victim to hero. If we choose to live our lives as the hero's journey that Joseph Campbell talks about, but we all love movies. If we choose to see that every single thing that happens in our lives is an opportunity to practice, is an opportunity to grow, is an opportunity to fly higher, to reach higher, to express life in a more complete, more integrated way, then life really becomes a fascinating journey. And I can relate, and I know many of you can relate to the feeling of enjoying my sadness. I'm playing this right soundtrack and lighting the candles and wearing the wavy dress and making sure that I have a, silk tissue to enjoy the tears, And really going deep into, because we have normalized that some of our experiences are right and some of our experiences are wrong. So all we do is to chase the right ones and hide and resist the wrong ones, which is just flipping the reality of what we want, because the more you chase these ones, suppressing these ones, the more these ones needs to put the volume higher so that you look at what is there, and the farther you're wanting to achieve goals. So I love when you use the example of prema. It's like, stop for a minute. What if we just shift the perspective? What if instead of the victim you become the warrior? And you go into the journey with excitement.
And curiosity, I think, is such a big one as well, because we get so used to what it is that we're doing. It's like, what could be different? Like, what is possible? And we're such fascinating monkeys. Whenever we look at things in this perspective of openness and what is possible, it can be completely endless. Like, we're the only one restricting ourselves in so many ways.
Yeah. A metaphor just came to my mind when you were talking about physical pain, right? So when a mother is giving birth, I mean, I don't know, but I can imagine the amount of pain she's going through. And of course, we have the women that, for medical reasons or for choice, they decide to give birth under medication and not feel it. But we all have the girlfriend that has chosen to give birth naturally and has actually had an orgasmic experience through that pain and has been able to host all of that pain because she's giving birth, right? So suddenly the pain has a purpose. Her son is coming into the world. And so she keeps on pushing and breathing through it because the baby needs that. It's like it's a non-negotiable anymore. Well, the pains of life are exactly that. We're birthing ourselves into the next thing. Now, if the mom freaks out in the middle of the birth and stops pushing, we might lose the baby. Same in life. And I know how it feels. I know it's excruciating at times. It's just like, switch off. I don't want this anymore. But the only way through, the only way out of it for me is through.
Yeah.
There is no shortcuts, take a long time.
So what would you say to people, in so many situations it feels like I didn't choose this, like something's happening to me. So what would you say to people who are in the situation or in the role where, in a victim role, but it's actually, you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah.
Where it actually feels like they're not just choosing the victim, they're like, no, this is actually...
Yeah.
I'm not phrasing it right.
Yeah, no, but I know what you understand. I mean, what you mean. We can go very dramatic. Like,
whenever me and my friend Carolina did the self-love series, somebody had reached out, and we were talking about self-responsibility.
Yeah.
And they had reached out, and they were talking about a lot of what has happened has not been my responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's, I want to hear about, which is completely valid. A lot of what happens to us is not ours, but we still get a choice to how we react to it. So I want to hear what you say to that.
So here's the problem. Like, when you go a little bit into neuro-linguistic programming, you realize that a lot of the way the system has fucked us up and control us, it's by changing the real meaning of words. So everything that happens in your life is not your fault. And I'm going to be brutal here. If you get hit, if you get raped, if you get a virus in your system, of course it's not your fault. Last thing in the world you have to do is sit down punishing yourself on top of it. Now, it's always your responsibility Because responsibility, let's look at the word. Responsibility. Your responsibility is your ability to respond to what life is throwing at you. And that is inherent to every single human being, regardless of the state that we are in. Even if you are tied up in jail without the ability to make free will decisions, you still have a responsibility with your life. You still have the ability to respond to that and maybe reach enlightenment or channel the next life world-changing book or write an album, or I don't know, I've never been in jail and I can only imagine. But I like to use radical experiences. You have it?
I've spent a few nights in there, let's just
look at the bad girl. That's for the next video. So it is always our responsibility. And the moment you take personal responsibility, victimhood is out of the window. I've coached many, like hundreds and hundreds of individuals, but mostly women. And victimhood is a pattern that is being reinforced in the feminine for a long time because we were stripped of our voice. So we developed patterns of victimhood and manipulation. So very often my clients are dealing with that victim. And the moment, so fighting victimhood doesn't work. It reinforces itself. Because if I'm, like, let's say you are my victimhood and I start fighting you, then you're just more victim. Oh no, now you're fighting me. Right?
Have you heard of the drama triangle?
No?
So there's 3 parts of the drama triangle. It's victim, hero, and villain.
Yeah.
So if you're playing the victim, I have to play the hero or the villain. Yeah. So in this case that you're saying, like if you're coming from a role of a victim and you're going to fight your victim or you're going to fight, it's like, well, then I have to be the villain, which then again just reinforces your role.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting triangle because whichever one that you pick, the other people that are around you have to be in the other ones.
Well, and there is always the third option. You know, we always have A, B, and there is always, you know, the other option. So you have 3. Now let's just get out of the triangle and make it 3-dimensional. There is the sage, which is the one that has transcended the victim, the perpetrator, and the hero, and can watch from above and understand that all of them are necessary for the human evolution. However, you are none of them. And in that disidentification process, which I do with clients in a very fun way, because at the end of the day, it's literally looking at your life like a movie. When am I playing the victim? When am I playing the villain? Who in my life I'm constantly asking to play the villain? Mom, would you play the villain for me? Mom, would you play? Your poor mom really wants to love you, but all you're letting her do is play the villain for you.
Mom, we played that for a long time.
Just say.
It is interesting though that we have them all.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh no, that's me. It's like, well, it's all you. Like, we embody all of it. So I love that idea of,
stepping out. So the moment that you step out and you take responsibility and you go like, all right, this is the script of my life's movie. And I get to choose how to answer to what is already being set in motion. Because of course, we live in a 3D world that is pretty dense, which means from the moment I make the decision to lose weight, this is a very simple example, to my process of changing my diet and going to the gym and actually manifesting the loss of weight, there is a process of a few weeks. Well, same with everything else, that from the moment I choose to bake a cake till the moment the cake is actually baked, there's a process. So the moment we take responsibility can be an instant. Comprehension is a matter of an instant. It's not a process. However, there is going to be a process where you have the ability to respond to what has already been set in motion. So for a few months or a few years, depending on your life story, stuff is still coming at you in the frequency that you were when you were a victim. If you start a relationship based on victimhood, you need to go through a process until that fades away and you start creating a new life. However, it's a process that I see shortening and shortening and shortening because consciousness is waking up in the planet. People is more, it's faster to respond right now. So the moment that you take responsibility,
the ability to respond is getting faster.
Exactly. And then you don't have to fight the victim. By itself, it's gone completely. It's automatic. It's like, what was his name? Rodolfo, our friend Rodolfo. one day we were together in the car and I was crying. And he's like, why don't you let it go? And I'm like, Rodolfo, I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. And I'm like, he's like, okay, we need to rephrase this. I don't think you need to let it go. What I think you need to do is stop holding. And suddenly I understood. We do let go. We do fight my victim. No, look, what is the new thing that you want? Okay, responsibility. Having the ability to, in every single second of my life, regardless of what's happening, how am I responding to it? And choosing to not be the victim anymore. I get so excited about this.
I love it. So what is some self-inquiry that you could suggest in order to maybe, because we need to have awareness of the patterns. So to help, so speaking with someone who's like, I'm just not happy. There's some stuckness, some claustrophobia, for whatever reasons, we all have it manifest in different ways. What would be some like good self-inquiry to begin to see the pattern? Because we need to be able to see that first.
There are many ways to approach this, but I think for someone that it's feeling in a place of I have no control, I'm stuck, and I have no control over what I'm creating. The first thing I will say is like, have a look into your Ferrari and get acquainted,
yeah.
Get acquainted to yourself, to your potential. Feel deeply into your body, work in your embodiment. Whether it's through yoga, through meditation, through dance, through embodiment practices, through going into nature. Like, make a thing out of understanding your body. Go into your emotions instead of numbing them and escaping them. And this is the process, you guys. We don't get here with a pill. Like, whoever is selling a pill that gets you there in a minute, I will doubt it. It is a process. So go deep into your emotions. Go deep into your mind patterns. Question yourself constantly. Question yourself. What am I coming with this decision? What is the hat that I'm wearing? Am I wearing the victim hat? Am I wearing the villain hat? Is my wounded girl speaking? Is my wounded inner child speaking? What it's like. Take your time to connect with the higher realms, whether it's through synchronicity, through ceremony, through looking at the stars, through talking with God, with Allah, with fucking you name it. But allow your awareness to expand beyond this little here and now and understanding you're way bigger than that. And this is a process that if you start today and you do it again tomorrow and you do it again in 2 weeks, suddenly you're so much more aware of everything you have in your hands to start creating your life. And then we can start doing the work. Then we can find what is the best way for you to crack those patterns, to, get your body to where your body is supposed to be. But right now, if you're fully disconnected from all of it, you don't even...
It's going back to the 4.
Exactly. Going back to the 4 pieces of the Ferrari.
Let's remind everyone, we have some people just joining, and then here we're back on YouTube. What are the 4 pieces of the Ferrari?
So the 4 pieces of what I'm talking about, the Ferrari, I'm using the Ferrari as a metaphor of how genius the human experience is. I'm taking the best possible car as a metaphor, or at least the best possible car for me. So the human Ferrari, it's made out of 4 levels of awareness. The first one is the body, the most obvious one. Then a little less dense than the body, but still as obvious, are the emotions, very often forgotten. Then we go to the mind, way more volatile than the other 2. Finally, we go to spirit, our connection to the matrix of the world, the cosmic, however, in which category you talk about it, doesn't really matter. That thing of you that knows is bigger than you. And even for those scientists that believe that the moment we die, everything switches off, you know that there is a bigger matrix. There is a self-organizing intelligence that is happening, reconnecting all of us with this planet. So those 4 levels, when in alignment, when with awareness, turn our human experience into a Ferrari.
Vroom, vroom.
They can run really fast and can create an amazing experience, and we could be living heaven on earth if we will just be able to use those 4 with mastery.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love sharing this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I get people who ask me so often. I just got a message from a girl last night, just the hows and how. Like people just sometimes it's a simple question of like the girl asked me last night, she was just like, how do I stay sober this weekend? Or how do I find this happiness? How do I find whatever it is? It's we're all there. There's a certain. We're all moving through different things. We all move through different things, and it's often that jumping off point, that beginning point. And I think that it's so beautiful going back to the four things to check into. That is actually a beautiful self-inquiry checklist almost.
Yeah.
So encouraging, you to just check in and see, what is deficient, what is getting too much energy, what is not getting enough, and beginning to balance from there.
And often we get bored when we choose one practice. So you meditate for a month, and the second month you're really bored about meditation. And I feel like when we expand to this holistic approach and have the 4 levels, then I can keep myself entertained and focused, and because okay, Mondays I'm working on my body, Tuesdays I'm doing my intention settings, Wednesdays I'm working on my mindset. Ideally, we're constantly checking in the 4 of them, but as a beginner, for example, that woman, how do I stay sober this weekend? Well, make sure that you have one practice for each. Make sure that you go to ecstatic dance in the morning, or you dance in your house with your girlfriends. Make sure that you're creating a space where you can express your emotions and feel them, and make sure that you do a journaling exercise or a setting intention. Or like setting intention is actually really good to organize our mind and bring our mindset to the place where we want it to be. And then to do not go to church on Sunday. If you are Christian and you live next to a good church and the sermon is good, Jesus said a lot of beautiful things. They would just twist them all around. But go to church, go to the mosque, go to cacao ceremony.
How do you feel connected?
Whatever,
lots of different. Yeah. So it's beautiful.
Talk to the moon.
It's beautiful because I always say, like, we don't have. A lot of people want formulas. Like a formula for happiness, and I like this because it's kind of like a non-formula formula.
Yeah.
It's like check these boxes, but there's like a zillion things that you can do inside of them.
Yeah. And I have a system. I use it in my life. So if I work in a place and someone cuts me off, or I get confronted, or someone says something or whatever, and I can watch my response, right? And it's going to go out of what I want. Because I have this ability, I run a scan. I run a scan through how is my body feeling, so that I can stop the process of the body that is going to do this thing. So how is my body feeling and how I want it to feel? Okay, it's feeling tense, I'm going to breathe. Emotionally, what does this person touch? Because often we don't realize that we're coming from a wound until we look it up, days or hours later. What are my thoughts? What is the internal dialogue? Can I check in, like, did you really mean this? Is this what you're implying? Because my internal dialogue, it's 90% of the times off. It's 90%. Our internal dialogue is 90% of the times based on survival and previous traumatic experiences. So this looks a lot like I am spacing out instead of reacting. And I've had, in the beginning when I started this process, I have friends that are like, because I'm taking the time, I'm like, I'm processing right now what just happened. So first I'm checking with my body, checked. Now I'm checking with my emotions, and often the emotions and the thought are very close together. So I'm going to check with you what you said or what you did, you actually meant it. And then for me, the connection with spirit, because I come from a Muslim father and a Christian mother, so I had to transcend that, otherwise I was going to be completely fragmented. My connection with spirit is my connection with oneness, with everything that is bigger than me. So when that moment comes, what I do is I zoom out and I go like, what is here? What is the best possible outcome for the well-being of everyone involved? And often that best possible outcome is actually against what my first reaction will have been. Because my first reaction is protecting my ego. So I have got used to this, and I now can use it most of the time. Still, I have moments, and I shared in a Facebook Live a week ago where it doesn't happen. I first burst, and then I see it. and then I can run the process. But I believe that this is awareness. This is self-awareness, and it gets to a point where you scan them on a minute, you align them, and then you have the ability to respond from the place that you want to.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Where can we find out more about you?
Well, the best way is to follow the social media world, whether it's Instagram, subscribe to YouTube. I am starting to grow my YouTube with very juicy videos and free content. Hop over my website to subscribe to the newsletter. I write very seldom newsletter, maximum twice a month, so I won't bother you, but I always share good content. Facebook is also a good place to hang out. And then write me.
We'll
put all the links. Yeah. Write me, send me an email, tell me your story. Let's have the conversations that matter. This is my passion beyond my work. And I really believe that we have now the possibility to create the reality that we want, but we all need to take responsibility, which is the word of today.
Word of the day.
Yeah.
I love it. I didn't realize ability to respond. I'm like, wow, I've never put that together before.
Isn't it simple?
Nice.
Thank you so much for having me here. This was amazing.
All right. Peace, y'all.